What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Brian Mell with Marty's GMC and Chevrolet, and in today's video, we've got to talk about what I'm expecting to happen on September 14th. So let's get into it. All right, so first thing, just real quick, I want to thank all of you who've subscribed and supported me over the last few years. I always had a goal of hitting 100,000 subscribers on this channel, and thanks to you, I have achieved that goal. So that silver play button award that's behind me is just as much yours as it is mine. And as cheesy as it may sound, truly from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that most of you, if not all of you, have heard about the UAW or United Auto Workers Union potentially going on strike if they can't come to an agreement on a new contract with Detroit's Big Three. And when I say Big Three, or I mention automakers in this, I mean General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis. A few weeks back, the UAW released their proposal as part of the negotiations with the three automakers. And within that proposal, we had things like a 46% wage increase over the next 4 years of the contract, restoration of traditional pensions, cost of living increases, reducing the work week to 32 hours from 40, and increasing retiree benefits. Now, according to the automakers, meeting those demands is impossible without risking jobs and the future of the companies. Negotiations with Stellantis, those seem to be the most hostile, as they sharply criticized the demands of the UAW initially, saying that they need, quote, a focus on reality from everyone involved, end quote. Stellantis North America Chief Operating Officer Mark Stewart said in a letter to employees that the company is, quote, committed to working with the UAW to reach an agreement based on economic realism, end quote. Stellantis responded to the UAW's demands with their own proposal that UAW President Shawn Fain called trash as he tossed it into a wastebasket during a live Facebook broadcast. So things don't seem to be going so well. Over the weekend, according to a CNBC report, the UAW's Vice President Rich Boyer, who is in charge of the union's Stellantis unit, said that Stellantis is now discussing taking production of the internal combustion Ram 1500 pickup from Detroit and moving it to Mexico. Boyer also said that Stellantis' plan includes producing Ram's new all-electric pickup at Sterling Heights Assembly Plant in Detroit, which currently produces the internal combustion Ram pickups. However, that would potentially impact the union's membership as EVs require fewer workers to produce them, and there's no guarantee that the all-electric Ram will be anywhere near as successful as its ICE counterpart, meaning less job security for union members. According to Automotive News, the UAW's demands would nearly triple labor costs to more than $150 an hour per employee at all three automakers. At that labor rate, going toe-to-toe with companies like Tesla or Toyota, for example, whose current labor rates are between $45 to $50 per hour, would make competing in the market increasingly difficult for the Big Three. Analysts have also reported that the UAW's demands would add more than $80 billion to each of the Big Three automakers, saying that the contract's 4-year term could wipe out profits and threaten the car makers' futures. Now, the reason I titled this video, Truck Prices Are Going Up Again, is for two main reasons. The first is that from what I'm seeing across all the automotive news outlets, which I read them all, it doesn't appear that either side, whether we're talking about the UAW or the automakers, want to budge on their proposals, which means that it's looking more and more likely that on September 14th, when the contracts expire, that the UAW will go on strike. I've had companies that supply parts for GM, Ford, and Stellantis reach out to me telling me that they're actually preparing for a strike and they're getting ready to throttle production, dial it back, because of course if the UAW does go on strike on the 14th, it will have a major impact on vehicle production. I don't think I really have to explain to my viewers at this point what happens when the inventory supply goes down. Prices, well, those generally stay up or they go higher. Alternatively, if the UAW's demands are met, I would expect that the automakers would increase their prices in order to make up for the lost revenue. Now, I know that this is somewhat of a controversial topic, I guess. I've uploaded a few TikToks about it and that they got millions of views and everyone seems to want to argue about it, which I'd prefer to avoid, but I understand people are passionate about their viewpoints on this. I think I have a pretty good understanding of both sides of the argument. The most common complaint I seem to see is regarding CEO pay, which I agree is crazy high. But for some reason, people also seem to think that CEOs do nothing and that they just sort of fell into these positions, which is just not the case. A CEO can single-handedly make or break a company, in my opinion. And personally, I'm not sure you could even pay me enough to deal with that kind of stress, but that doesn't mean that I don't think auto workers deserve a pay increase. It just needs to make financial sense for the automakers, because those last 2 years of really high profits, I also don't think are going to be a regular occurrence, especially over the next 4 years with the current economy and interest rates that just keep going up. There needs to be some serious conversations, and both sides need to give in a little, because a strike is going to be terrible for everyone. It's going to be bad for the workers. It's going to be bad for the companies. It's going to be bad for the consumers. It's going to be bad for the suppliers. And it's going to be bad for the U.S. economy as a whole, because according to analysts, the strike could cost the U.S. economy more than $5 billion in just the first 10 days. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but as of right now, come September 14th, I am 100% expecting a strike, followed by a decrease in truck supply and an increase in pricing. As always, I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you made it this far in the video, if you could do me a solid, just smash that like button. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Be sure to check out martysparts.com for all your GM OEM parts needs, martysgmc.com if you're in the market for a new GMC truck, or martyschevrolet.com if bow ties are more your style. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all in the very next video.